He'll go down to layers, and Up by Hacks will silence a few, but the silence doesn't matter when the auto attack damage is more than enough. The Tartarus Titans find 3 kills during this fight, a Fury and a tier 1 tower, and that nothing that the Bolts had has now gone over to the Tartarus Titans, a 2K lead, and now it's starting the Fire Giant by the Titans. There's nobody on the Bolts to answer this. This one is going to go to them for free.
Yeah, not nothing turned to something for the Tartarus Titans, and it is a significant something. And it was just one engagement, one misplay. Jake goes a little too far forward, falls down. The Tartarus Titans take the objective, walk mid, saying, hey, this is the best opportunity we've had all game. We're already grouped up as 5. Let's go ahead and start up our siege. Ven steps a little too far forward himself, gets caught out, and immediately shut down. Even Barracuda eating the Kraken from SOT. Probably wasn't realizing how quickly this Poseidon was moving at him. This guy's going Mach 10. Pretty easy from to line up those Krakens as he's essentially teleporting everywhere he walks. And the Tartarus Titans, off the first skirmish, 20 minutes into the game, have essentially blown the doors wide open. Fire Giant on all 5 members and plenty of towers to collect gold from. But it's not so simple. Again, you're missing a Hunter. So this siege isn't easy. I think the Olympus Bolts can really dig in their heels on any of these tier 2 towers. Give them up to tier 1. Who cares about like 500 gold? But these tier 2s are defendable.
Yeah, it feels like they're going to put a lot of weight on maybe SOT's shoulder to get some of that actual damage out there. The Bumbus Hammer is done. So is the Belts of the Berserker. Finished up by SOT. So a little bit of extra burn damage around these objectives or just in the team fights in general. But now where will the Tartarus Titans put their focus? For now, it's tier 2 in mid. Aurora, once again, with that Emperor's Armor, will slow down the DPS of the tower itself and allow his team to freely be able to push this one out. Tier 2 in mid will go down with not much contest by the Bolts.
And the Bolts still aren't heading back to base. The Phoenix not being looked at just yet by the Tartarus Titans. Instead, they're going to work their way through the towers. Split push attempted by Barracuda will force out the teleport. So now, Cyclone Spin on the right-hand side of the map. But I just kind of feel like the Bolts are missing an opportunity there. Why split push? I feel like in a split push situation, it's, hey, our defense isn't so good, so I'm going to make a situation where they can't keep up the 5-on-5 siege, where they will have to respect me and teleport away. But because the Tartarus Titans siege, untested composition, I could be speculating incorrectly, but just looking at it, it can't be that powerful. Surprised to see the Bolts are willing to give up all those towers, essentially for free. The only thing you get in trade is a tier 1 tower in the Soul Lane, the lowest value structure in the entirety of the Smite. Like, nothing is worth less than a tier 1. I'll take any other tower. Literally any of them.
Any of them.
Any of them.
I think you make a fair point there. Looking at the composition of the Tartarus Titans, I mean, you talk about the siege potential. Sure, their damage against structures is definitely going to be on the lower end. So it feels like the Tartarus Titans would more so want to bait the Olympus Bolts out of these structures, get them out of their Phoenix lines, out of these tier 2 towers, which doesn't seem like the Bolts even want to defend any of the towers at this point. They're just going to let every single one of them fall to the wayside. So the Tartarus Titans were able to build up some lead for themselves. Jake, well, put himself all the way to the left side of the map, but they know that Jake is over there, they being the Tartarus Titans, and they can start up their defense on the right-hand side. Their offense, Whirlpool will go down. It'll hit Haddix, a pin just off the mark by Lasbra. Now with the minions, we get to see what some of that siege potential is. Cyclone and a Dharmic Pillar in the backline puts Barracuda down to half HP, and Barracuda already forced out of the fight, down very fast.
Haddix in the backline himself has separated the Tartarus Titans. They are now routed. The Olympus Bolts.
Come on.
Went back to Fountain, reset, now they're chasing down.
Finds 4 with the ultimate. Lasbro able to pick up 1, a pluck on a Cyclone right into the Wolves of the Bolts, and Barracuda picks him up. The Tartarus Titans, with a phenomenal start to their siege, fall apart when the Olympus Bolts have rallied back together.
All I saw from the Tartarus Titans there was all-in initiation, Cyclone Spin, dashes in with the ultimate, Aurora throws up the Dharmic Pillars, and the Bolts say, word? We're going to leave Heavenly back to our Fountain, and the Phoenix takes 0 damage. Generally, any other composition with that amount of space created would just shred a Phoenix. One Hunter, that Phoenix is gone, and it goes down quickly with the amount of space that, well, I suppose Cyclone Spin created, so let's assume that it would have been a Bellona in the Soul Lane, the SOT would have created in a normal composition. But it's only layers hitting the Phoenix, and he was hitting it the entire time. Let's take a peek up there. Let's be honest, it's regenerated a little bit, so let's say he did about half in like 15 seconds.
It's not a lot.
It is not a lot. The Olympus Bolts defense isn't like the strongest. This is not a composition like, yeah, we're really good in these situations. It's not as if you've got like a Merlin in mid, but the siege potential of the Tartarus Titans is completely contingent off the initial fight. It is, we got to get our pick. Whoever Cyclone Spin is landing on needs to die, then we take the structure. That's really hard to do into a team that's got a Chalk ultimate to disrupt you, or Ven's cleanse, or all this self-sustain, which is why I was so surprised that the Olympus Bolts didn't take that exact same fight like in their tier 2 tower.
Well, now they don't have any tier 2 towers to defend it, so now it'll be maybe a fight in the jungle, which would be potentially better off for the Tartarus Titans. They don't have to worry about dealing with any of the structures fighting back up against them. For now, the Bolts will group up as 4. Lasbra off to the side by himself. Jake still standing at that front line. Even if he's not the one on the offense standing around the wall, he is still going to group around a wall. The Fire Giant started up by the Titans. The Bolts a little hesitant to go in, but with a circle of protection, that's a guaranteed one for the Tartarus Titans. But can they find a fight after? Haddix finds 3 and gets some good damage, but all the damage is from the Tartarus Titans on the backside. Kraken off the mark, but Dharmic Pillars to lock in Barracuda and Venenu. Venenu gets the alternate timeline, and that might just barely be enough. They're a good pluck by Jake, but a better flail by Layers to pick up the kill and make it a double.
Yeah, the Bolts just wait way too long to initiate there. If the Fire Giant drops low, Circle Protection is not losing out. SOT on the chase. I think he can just keep on to Lasbra. Don't allow him to back and have the Tartarus Titans continue their siege. This is what the Titans had wanted. It was Pix, then Phoenix. Beforehand, they had tried to do so in the Phoenix. This time, they get it all done in neutral territory.
Even Barracuda can't go back to base. It's just Haddix to defend against 3. Barracuda's locked away by Cyclone Spin. And on the other side, it's Lasbra and SOT,
Stick around,
who will not
bud.
allow them to go through. Can Haddix win the 3v1 in the Titan room? Haddix is very tanky. He's got some good damage. Circle Protection is not up by Paul, and that's what they need to close out the kill. But now that it is dropped, the Tartarus Titans should be able to close this one out and take us to game 3.
Impressive play from the Tartarus Titans around that Fire Giant. Unfortunate circumstances for the Olympus Bolts makes that team fight so one-sided. Haddix blinks in after the Fire Giant had already been secured, or at the exact same time rather. Circle Protection drops him to 50%. From there, you don't have the space creation tool from your Soul Laner because he's on the retreat fully. The Olympus Bolts, I suppose, just a little bit too slow to get into the Fire Giant pit itself. And the Tartarus Titans, who we had been saying have a great objective secure and burn composition, use it maybe twice that entire game, but once around the Fire Giant's all you really need.
And it's maybe even that point, because you're talking about the low siege that came from them. Well, if they don't have to fight around the Phoenix, they don't need the team fight, they can just win in the jungle. Full more props to them. The Tartarus Titans are able to take that composition and win the one Fire Giant dance that they actually needed to take down the Olympus Bolts, and now push themselves to a game number 3. And this is one of the sets that's been predicted to be a potential set of the week, and so far it's looking to be so. We'll take it to game 3 right after this break.
Come on, dude. Are you serious right now?
And game one of our weekend goes all three. And I think that this is a bit of a precursor to what we can expect in a lot of the sets here this weekend. You look at our schedule, I see a lot of potential three-game sets. This was the first one, and it does go all three, as the Titans able to run back a similar style of composition here in game two. A bit unique. Bologna ADC didn't work in game one, but does take down the Bolts here in game two. And a team, Trelly, and the Titans, who have so many two-game sets. Out of 5 sets, only one of them has gone 3 so far. This now makes the second in 6. And some subtle changes to their composition end up making a big difference.
Yeah, I think the biggest and most notable change, obviously Aurora and Different Guardian didn't change too much for me. It was just the E set, right? The Circle of Protection, their objective play just got so much better off the back of Paul on this pick. Obviously, SOT running back Poseidon solo was able to find a little bit more success. Probably played a bit safer as well, given that back. But stuff like this, you can just 50-50 an objective because you have that circle of protection available. It's going to give you that confirm. And then after the fact, the fight is pretty easy after that.
Yep. And look, Kraken provides enough burst damage. Layers, this is a real layers heavy style of composition. When Cyclone Spin's not going to build Bologna ADC and Layers is going to build that auto attack, shred down style of build, you are putting a lot of weight on Layers. And in game 2, able to step up. Layers and Sot did it all. 9 kills for the Titans. Evenly split almost between Layers and Sot. Layers with 5, Sot with 4. Sot dealing the hefty amount of damage in this game, and Layers with 14k. Able to whittle down the target. Cyclone Spin able to do so as well. Just didn't see much out of Ven, didn't see much out of Lasper this game. In fact, both of them dealing less damage than Awesome Jake did this game. Both of those two only above Aurora, the Ganesh, in damage numbers. And so the Bolts, this time around, realize, all right, maybe our composition with the Morgan and the Cthulhu and that much damage and that much tankiness is what it would take to beat the Titans. And so now I think, Trelly, we'll see the Bolts pivot away from maybe a couple more of those picks, although I think the Titans really picked and banned well in game number 2 to prevent certain picks from rolling through for the Bolts. Wonder if at this point you pick ban the Bologna. If you're the Olympus Bolts, you want to force the Titans away from that style of composition. Poseidon might not be a horrible look either. Or maybe the Bolts feel like they've got a proper answer. Though the E set, maybe the biggest difference, ends up getting taken away. So a good start for the Bolts to address some issues from game 2.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing to take away would definitely be the E set, and also Hell, just not a good pick into that style of composition. I think, when you play essentially 4 tanks, the idea is you want to have a linear target to go on to. When it was the Morgan, you can't really focus out the Morgan because she's going to transform into Cthulhu. Hell is always going to be Hell. Very easy to try and dive. They were able to stack anti-heal because it was so effective into the Chalk, into the Sobek, into it's all of those picks, the Erlang Shen as well. So I see no reason to run that back. Taking away the Osiris, however, is going to be a smart pick. It looks like they're just going to give Erlang Shen over to the Titans this time around. Whether it's Haddix or Lasper, I think, going to be a good look and put layers onto something else.